Hello, everybody. Since they revealed this 13 difficulty attack, I've been trying to find a way to play it, and I think this is the deck. Now, the reason I chose Ymir is because a 13 difficulty move requires a lot of foundations to pass this check, and Ymir builds quicker than maybe anyone else in the game right now. Between her form and being a seven hander and all the tricks you have on life to draw cards, Ymir can really build a very healthy stage by turn 3. And so on turn 3, you can very comfortably play this card. Now, how do we get it to hit after we flip 5 Rival Foundations? Well, we play a card called, where is it? Constantly Improving to make it a 14 mid, which is enough. Now, what I will say about this strategy is you're basically committing your whole board from 10 foundations all the way down to 0 ready foundations if you're going to be pulling off this combo. But I was able to actually pull it off, so it is possible. And if you do manage to ruin 13 on turn 3, you're in a pretty good spot, even if your opponent still has one or two foundations left up, because Ymir also is quite defensive. She can commit for -3 speed, and you have all the life tools that let her defend. Plus, after you play this 13 diff, you can still pass 2 to 3 to 4 foundation checks because we're only running 4 checks as our lowest check number, which means that you, as long as you can check fours on your foundations after this one attack, you can build out after you play this move and ruin the whole stage. Now, this is a very one note strategy. I think if your opponent is Toru 2, or your opponent has, Genkai's guidance, or if your opponent has Decoy Duplicate, it is a lot harder, or Cape of No Return, for example. So that's why we're running some counters to those cards. Young Heroes to stop the asset. We're running Masha's Concealment. This should be a 2 of. Might have accidentally taken it down to a 1 of. Yeah, so yeah, we definitely want to be running as many cancels to those kinds of abilities as we can. And then the rest of the lineup is very similar to the Hanji deck that I made. Essentially, though, we're also running more copies of Researching the Answer because as a seven-hander, this is more likely to come up, and a Sun's Love, just because we do need to draw as much as possible at form speed or better because of the fact that we only run 12 attacks and we do have to draw into the Thermal Blast to really pull off the combo. Armor Titan attacks and Unexpected Outcomes are both good attacks, though, so if we don't find the Colossus's Thermal Blast, we can still play those and get a lot of value out of those attacks, and kind of chip away at the opponent with those moves, especially Unexpected Outcomes. Now, the reason Unexpected Outcomes does so well is because it is 2 attacks in one, and we can use it with Immortal Shapeshifter and Ymir to get a ton of damage. So being able to play 2 attacks and also take out the best block in their hand or the best attack in their hand is really strong, especially since this first one is very hard to block anyway, coming in at a 10 mid. In terms of the other defensive strategies, the main one to shout out is Mortal Shapeshifter. You do want to find this card at as many copies as possible. This is what's going to keep you alive for so long. Being able to make checks on a 5 to gain health after your foundations are destroyed is just really, really good. And then it's especially good in this deck because we run so many 5 checks. In fact, we're running so few 4 checks in this deck that actually this is almost always going to be gaining us a health when we destroy foundation. There's some sneaky good ways to actually proc this when your opponent does ruin or something like that. So yeah, it is all around very good. For Keiko's Aid, because we just need to survive turn 2, which is where Keiko's Aid is the strongest, is stopping that turn 2 KO. And this just kind of helps with that, just puts up an extra roadblock for your opponent. And it's still good in the late game, especially if you can stack them and have like multiples. And then 4 Evade and Copy because we just want to, live. And I think Evade and Copy is just very good in this format right now with Actually, you know what? I kind of take that back just because we don't know what the format is going to be like. If the format is a bunch of attacks like this, then actually evading copy is not so good. But we'll see, I guess. But I just think it's a great card because, like, in the regionals that just happened, we had a lot of decks that were pumping a lot of speed on mid moves, especially. So you had your All Rodans and the Elder Toguro that evade and copy is very good against. And then, yeah, we can get away with not playing too many one diffs. This is another deck where we have 1-0 diff just to make our block zones slightly better. Our block zones are very bad with only 9 low blocks, but it's okay because Ymir actually likes taking damage. In fact, you kind of need to take some hits early on so that you can gain health and therefore pump your damage more. So it's actually okay to face tank a couple moves or half block some moves. And if we ever get too low in health, we can Immortal Shapeshifter on our opponent's turn to stay healthy if we have multiples out. So, yeah. And then for Incredible Display, just to help us chain block, and there's not much more to say about this deck. I think this is a lot of fun. I think it's a really cool deck, and if your opponent isn't prepared for it, they are just going to lose to this card. I think this is one of the best ways to play this Colossus's Thermal Blast. This probably has some legs in Spotlight, but in terms of competitive viability, I have to say between all the ways to remove attacks from the card pool in standard, I would say it's going to be pretty hard to make this um, like a super competitive deck. I think you can still do really well because people are probably not going to be, super prepared for this the first few times you play it. So yeah, if you pull this secret rare, this is a deck that you can try to make it viable. Anyway, that's about all I have for this deck. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.